It's 1989, suburban South Florida. This is Jonathan at age 6. Other kids are trading Pokemon cards or eating dirt for fun. Jonathan? He's glued to a computer screen like it holds the secrets of the universe. His father, a programmer, tries installing parental controls. Jonathan just laughs and deletes them. Imagine grounding your child, and your child responds by hacking the consequences out of existence. By his early teens, he's knee-deep in the programming language C and operating systems like Unix, while most of us were busy figuring out how to change our MySpace song. He stays up late every night, staring into the digital infinity. One day, he casually erases Windows from the family PC and replaces it with Linux. Nobody asked, nobody approved. But who's going to stop him? His parents? They barely understand what button turns the monitor on. Eventually, arguments get so bad his parents take his computer away. Jonathan responds by running away from home. Not for freedom, not for rebellion, for his computer. And soon, the government will try to take that away too. By 15, Jonathan has evolved from gifted kid who needs sunlight into full-blown hacker prodigy. Online, he goes by the alias Comrade. He doesn't hack to steal, he hacks to win. It's not about money, it's about proving a system isn't as secure as people pretend it is. Sometimes he even emails the system administrators after breaking in. Hi, your digital security is basically Swiss cheese. Here's how to fix it. No need to thank me. Imagine breaking into someone's house just to rearrange their furniture more efficiently. Summer 1999. Jonathan wants a new challenge, so he picks a small, modest target, NASA, specifically the Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama. He slips into 13 NASA computers like it's a casual stroll. This time, he actually takes something. Source code worth $1.7 million. The climate control software for the ISS. Jonathan later says the code was trash. Certainly not worth $1.7 million like they claimed. He downloaded it just to study how it was written. He didn't have the ability to remotely cook astronauts alive. That would have taken several more layers of access. But the breach alone forces NASA to shut down systems for 3 weeks, costing about $40,000. Not exactly pocket change. 2 months later, Jonathan hacks the Pentagon. Yes, the Pentagon, specifically the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, the people responsible for preventing nuclear, chemical, and biological disasters. He installs a backdoor, intercepts 3,300 messages, and collects employee login credentials. Meanwhile, the government begins aging 10 years per hour. To Jonathan, this was digital exploration. To law enforcement, this was, oh hell no, find the kid. Later, he violates probation over drug use, and he's sent to juvenile detention for 6 months. His father says prison changed him. He came back quiet, detached, like someone who had lost the spark that made him remarkable. He regrets everything. He quits hacking, but the past doesn't quit him. January 2000. Jonathan is 16, early morning. His mother wakes him up with the kind of sentence you never expect to hear before breakfast. Jonathan, the FBI is at the door. Agents raid the home. They take every computer, every CD, even his Star Trek book. Because apparently Klingons are evidence now, Jonathan cooperates. He confesses, He apologizes. He promises to stop. Three months later, he is officially charged. He becomes the youngest person ever convicted of cybercrime in U.S. history. He gets 6 months house arrest, loses computer privileges, and has to write apology letters to NASA and the Pentagon. Later, he violates probation over drug use, and he's sent to juvenile detention for 6 months. Accused of hacking into the Pentagon, accused of hacking into NASA, 40 million credit and debit card numbers stolen across the country. Sounds like the plot of a cyberpunk thriller, right? Number. It's about real teenagers in bedrooms surrounded by empty Mountain Dew bottles and dial-up internet that screeched like a dying robot. His father says prison changed him. He came back quiet, detached, like someone who had lost the spark that made him remarkable. He regrets everything. He quits hacking, but the past doesn't quit him. This is Albert Gonzalez. Like Jonathan, he was born in the 1980s. Like Jonathan, he was a self-taught hacker. And like Jonathan, he broke into NASA systems before he was old enough to vote. But Gonzalez made a very different choice. Where Jonathan's curiosity was rooted in challenge and discovery, Gonzalez saw opportunity. Opportunity for money, for status, for control. In the early 2000s, he became deeply involved with Shadow Crew, one of the largest online marketplaces for stolen credit card numbers and personal identities. In 2003, Gonzalez was caught attempting to pull cash from an ATM using cloned cards. To avoid a long prison sentence, he agreed to work with the U.S. Secret Service. But cooperation didn't mean reform. While assisting law enforcement in surfacing other cyber criminals, Gonzalez continued hacking behind the scenes. He called his personal operation, Get Rich or Die Trying. It would soon become one of the largest identity theft schemes in U.S. history, and Jonathan James would be pulled back into its orbit. Gonzalez worked with two others, Christopher Scott, a mutual acquaintance of both Gonzalez and Jonathan, and a hacker referred to in investigation records only as JJ. Scott and JJ would war drive, driving slowly past businesses to locate and exploit weak Wi-Fi networks. At the time, corporate cybersecurity was often an afterthought. Once inside a company's network, they installed sniffer programs that quietly collected credit and debit card information from customers. The stolen data went to Gonzalez. He then passed it to other hackers who decrypted PINs, cloned cards, and withdrew tens of thousands of dollars from ATMs worldwide. This wasn't a one-time breach. Over 3 years, the group infiltrated major U.S. retail chains. BJ's Wholesale Club, Boston Market, Barnes & Noble, Forever 21, and more. Their largest breach involved TJX, the parent company of TJ Maxx, Marshalls, and Home Goods. Nearly 96 million customers were affected. In total, approximately 180 million card numbers stolen, hundreds of millions of dollars in financial damage. The largest identity theft scheme in U.S. history at the time. And throughout this, Gonzalez was still working as a federally protected informant.
There's a major break in a credit card scam that affected millions of people.
Experts say this man's arrest may lead to the kingpin behind the biggest credit card ID theft in history.
May 2008, Pinecrest, Florida. Jonathan James is 24. His mother has passed away. He hasn't gone to college. He doesn't have a job. He lives quietly, mostly alone, with depression closing in around him. He is no longer hacking. He has not participated in the TJX theft, but the past rarely stays buried. One morning, the Secret Service raids his home. Just like before, computers seized, belongings searched, privacy stripped away. They believe JJ, the unidentified hacker tied to Scott and Gonzalez, may be Jonathan James. Jonathan insists he is innocent. The agents find a gun he legally owns. They leave it there. And then Jonathan reads something in the subpoena that changes everything. Albert Gonzalez, the hacker now tied to the TJX case, has been working with the Secret Service for 5 years, all while committing new crimes behind their backs. Jonathan realizes something terrifying. With Gonzalez cooperating, the government needs someone to blame, someone recognizable, someone symbolic, someone whose story the public already knows. A former teen NASA hacker makes a perfect headline. Jonathan had read the warnings circulating in hacker communities, particularly in a well-known document titled The Agent Steele Guide to Getting Busted. It explained how informants sometimes shift blame to others to protect themselves, how the justice system often prioritizes conviction over truth, how narratives matter more than accuracy. Jonathan believes he is about to become a scapegoat. He has already seen what prison did to him once. He will not go back. May 18th, 2008. Jonathan James is found in his home, dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. On his desk is a letter. He writes that he has no faith in the justice system, that he believes staying alive would mean surrendering control of his fate. He writes, "It's not whether you win or lose. It's whether I win or lose. I die free." In March 2010, Albert Gonzalez was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison. When agents searched his parents' home, they uncovered a plastic barrel buried in the backyard containing $1.2 million in cash. The fantasy of get rich or die trying ended in steel bars and fluorescent lights. Christopher Scott received 7 years for his role in the attacks. And the mysterious JJ, the hacker assumed to be Jonathan James, may never have been him at all. Investigators later concluded that JJ was likely Stephen Watt, another figure in the operation who used the alias Jim Jones online. Watt was eventually convicted. Jonathan was never arrested, never charged, never tried, and never sentenced in relation to the TJX case. But none of that mattered anymore. By the time the world learned he may have been innocent, Jonathan was already gone. Jonathan James was not a criminal mastermind. He was a child who saw systems the way a musician sees rhythm, the way a painter sees light. He understood computers intuitively, their logic, their weaknesses, their quiet patterns. He had a gift that could have changed the world, could have protected systems, could have built them stronger, could have taught others how to understand them. But the world never gave him that chance. When he was young, the justice system didn't guide him, it punished him. It took a talent built on curiosity and turned it into a threat. It took a teenager who emailed companies to help them and made him an example instead. And when he feared that the system would do it again, that same system gave him no reason to believe otherwise. Jonathan's story isn't about hacking. It's about what happens when potential is met with fear instead of mentorship. When ability is treated as danger rather than promise. When a gifted mind meets a world that doesn't know what to do with gifted minds. He once broke into NASA to understand how something worked. He once emailed administrators to show them how to fix their security. He once told his parents he could not live without a computer because that's where his mind lived. He was right. He did not die a villain. He died a young man who believed the world had already made its decision about him. Talent is fragile. Curiosity can be dangerous. And sometimes the difference between a prodigy and a criminal is who catches them first.